Am I
awesome.
April O'Neil?
Yeah. None of us are the turtles.
Am I April O'Neil? We're not going to argue with that.
Okay.
No, you'd be a turtle for sure, Nolan.
Welcome to New Game Plus. This is a retro gaming podcast where three guys spend 7 days playing one old game and then we talk about it. My name's Dustin.
My name is Kenny.
Nolan.
And this is episode 385.
Yeah.
And the question of the week is this. What is the oldest game that has aged the best in virtually every way?
Tetris.
Quick answer.
I believe it. I've been playing it this week.
You think Tetris, a game from so long ago, like that predates any that I had thought of.
I'll tell you, yes, sir.
Ages well on graphics and music and gameplay and story and characters?
Oh, please. While all of those things are things, not all game. It's a puzzle game. Come on. Yeah, so if we're talking about OG, yes, still very playable. We played it recently. If we're talking legacy and like modern day, yeah, the modern games are amazing. Puyo 2 Tetris. I've been playing that this week. Yeah, it's Tetris.
I expected that from Kenny, not from you. Kenny?
Nolan might be right. I don't want him to be, but I'm trying to think of like something else.
I can't give you an earlier answer, but I can give you a better answer.
Let's see.
Convince me.
Okay. I've got two games, Super Mario World and Link to the Past, both very early 90s, 90 and 91. I think those on all fronts, in virtually every way, they have aged the absolute best.
Great answers. I would say World over Link to the Past, even. I think that one...
maybe.
Super accessible, super colorful, fun, bright,
It's
amazing.
Nearly a flawless game, honestly.
It is a flawless game, I'll say it.
Yeah.
It's not my favorite of the old Marios.
It doesn't have to be your favorite, but you can still look at it and recognize and realize that it is an old game that has aged incredibly well.
I think they're great answers for sure. I can't offer something better. I think Nolan's answer still wins for me, but like barely.
I hate when Tetris wins anything.
Tetris is I wish you saw the light, man. Tetris is fantastic.
I don't give you the correct answer on this one, Nolan, because I think that is a cop-out because there are only two components of it, maybe three, rather than the myriad that comes from other games like Super Mario World and Link to the Past.
What? Because it doesn't have a story? The story of Tetris is the story of my life.
Fine, it's fine. My answer is Call of Duty Warzone 2.
There we go, Bubba.
Hey, we probably missed some. If we missed one, let us know. Because, like, question of the week, we need your input.
So in the last episode channel on our Discord, there's a thread there where you can answer this question. What is the oldest game that has aged the best in virtually every way? And don't agree that it's Tetris. Give us some better options there. Because we on our podcast want to take some time to rightfully reflect on games of the past and celebrate how great they are then and still today. Like in our retro game of the week, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3, Radical Rescue.
Overview.
TMNT 3 RR is a platformer. Let me start here. Platformer for the Game Boy. Y'all happy?
You can say it.
I can say it now. You won't ever let me say it any other time.
With this game, yeah.
With this game, I can get away with it.
Yes.
We only argue with you when you deserve to be argued with.
Okay, I won't let you say it, but it's a technicality. This is a weird case. You continue. Just continue.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3 Radical Rescue is a Metroidvania.
It's a Metroid-like game because... Symphony of the Night wasn't out yet.
The portmanteau doesn't work.
Which is
here.
actually insane. That
it honestly should have been a Metroid Turtle.
Yes.
Okay. A Teenage Mutant Metroid. I don't know.
It's very similar to Metroid 2, which was on Game Boy. And
Samus's Great Escape?
Maybe that's what it's called.
No, what it's called.
Magical Mystery Mall.
Magical Mystery
Samus
Mall.
Goes to Venice.
It's Return of Samus. I knew it had a
Yeah.
subtitle.
But sure, it's a Metroidvania. Sure,
It's
let's
a
do it.
Metroidvania for the Game Boy. Came out in 1993. Do you know of any other Game Boy games that we played on the show? I thought there were a few. There's a lot more than a few.
Samurai Kid.
Yep. There's a bunch. Not a bunch.
Samurai Kid. I didn't even write that one down. Why did I not write that one down?
Was that Game Boy Color though? I might be wrong.
I think it was Game Boy Color.
Was it Game Boy Color? It was Game Boy Color. You're wrong.
Yeah.
Okay, I've got an answer that is gonna blow both your minds that I know.
6 golden coins.
No, but
Nice.
that is one answer.
Nice.
Mine is the Addams Family.
Ooh, that's a good one too. I don't think I played that one. I think
you
it was
didn't.
a
You were
YouTube.
absent.
Yeah.
You were absent.
We've also played Pokemon Red Blue. We played Kirby's Dream Land. That was our first one. We most recently, and it's been a while, played Final Fantasy Legends 3. That's been our most recent
Yeah.
Game Boy game.
Yeah.
Oh, yep. Mhm.
Okay, so that was a while back then.
Right.
It's been,
so
it's been a
we've
second.
played a healthy amount of Game Boy games. We've certainly played a lot of like Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance games now. Like if you bring
Yeah,
all those
Sure,
in.
quite a few.
But Game Boy alone, still a good amount. The thing that shook me this week was when I found out, and I found out when I was, on the last episode when this got pulled, is that this game was developed and published by Konami.
Yes, sir. Giants.
Yep.
Not 100% of the time, but most often when we see that name as developer, we're happy and excited.
Oh, pretty much always.
It's a fair statement.
In fact, Hiroyuki Fukui, this game's
Nailed
director,
it.
The director.
actually worked with Kojima in the early Konami days, credited on Metal Gear 2, all the TMNT games on Game Boy, and even worked on Symphony of the Night, which I thought was really cool.
Was one of the producers on Symphony of the
Yeah.
Night. And I don't know, we'd have to look into it. I think that Metal Gear 2, not Solid.
Correct.
But,
the NES ones.
So, definitely has some experience, or at least before and after this game is
Yeah, knew
basically
what he was doing, yeah.
what we're getting at. Hold on, though. I don't want us to get too far from that. Metroidvania is from the Castlevania part, but that Castlevania is specifically pointing to Symphony of the Night?
Specifically, yes.
Wow.
It's strange. It's strange.
So in part, and I'm not saying exclusively, but in part, Metroidvanias, one of their founders and fathers is this Hiroyuki?
Yes.
Whew.
Well, I mean, at least in some regard.
In some
sure.
regard, right?
You can't argue against that. Yes.
That's crazy.
That
That's
is
amazing.
crazy. I love it.
Okay. Well, on this incredibly tiny handheld with an incredibly tiny screen that appears different shades of green. The Game Boy.
It had a little chunk to it.
It was chunky,
It
but
was
the
a little
screen
chunk, but the
was
screen is about the size of two quarters.
It's small. It's a very low resolution screen for sure.
2 buttons, A and B, with a D-pad, a start, and a select, and just a power switch on the top. Oh,
This is
man.
the colorway.
I love that's
For those of
that's
you
the
on
Game
video.
Boy colorway.
Yeah.
We were in 1993, or at least some people were playing this game where you play as Michelangelo, because one day when Michelangelo was out grabbing a slice of za, the other turtles got abducted and got sucked into the old April's in trouble, we better go save her bit. And they were kidnapped along with April and along with even Rat
Sensei.
Boy.
Wow.
Splinter.
Wait,
Master.
even I know that. And
Master
this was
to both
past
of you. Master.
This was before my time.
Splinter. Before your time, this was my time. Oh my goodness,
Yeah.
the amount of Ninja Turtles that I watched and imbibed in.
Yep.
I say before my time, it was certainly very popular. I had a lot of friends that were super into it, but I think I was just a little past the like, this is the coolest thing ever moment.
Yeah,
I was a
it
Power
had
Rangers boy.
legs, but the peak was coming down,
Yeah.
I think.
As Michelangelo, you have to go out and rescue the entire team one at a time in a Metroidvania kind of way. You've got a map and you are finding keys to unlocking doors to rescuing your other turtles, and each turtle has a unique ability that we'll talk about that you then continue to go
Gameplay
through this
over.
maze, fight the bosses, rescue everybody, save the day. April probably kisses you all and goes on to report the news.
Nice.
Gameplay.
Can we just talk about the phrase non-linear adventure game on the Game Boy?
Which is probably 3 games.
Dude, maybe? Yeah,
Like, that's
Metroid 2.
rare.
That's very rare. And my question is, how? Like, my contribution to that is how? What? Like, no offense to the Game Boy catalog and all, but like Kenny even mentioned already, you've got this tiny screen, and you've got heavy hitters. You got Tetris, yes, but like you've got that on one hand, which is a very bare bones kind of puzzle game, and then you have a Metroidvania over here with Turtles 3. It's just funny to think that it's non-linear. We complain about linear games now. That's what's blowing my mind about the game.
That's crazy. I mean, pulling Turtles off at all on Game Boy, I
Was
don't
gonna
think
be
is super
hard.
easy.
Right,
I loved the early titles on consoles,
And
on
arcade.
NES. You know, those were, and arcade. Oh yeah, they were great. But my understanding is that the first couple attempts of doing Turtles on handheld didn't go nearly as well as this one, and they're not super loved, and that's because that's a hard thing to pull off.
A very hard thing to pull off.
very hard to pull off, but I mean, for those of you that don't know what we're talking about when we say Metroidvania, we're throwing that term around, it essentially means you get to explore this map that in your own preference, like you're gated from progress in some areas, which require you to go in other rooms and other areas to beat bosses and to get power-ups to advance in those other areas.
So think adventure.
I mean, if you know, yeah, the 0.01% of our audience that knows adventure references.
I think if you're going to do a TMNT game on the Game Boy at this time, this was the route to go. I wouldn't have thought of it necessarily.
It's
but
not
you
safe, though.
What was successful around this time with TMNT was the beat 'em up kind of style experience that you can't replicate on this.
No.
I expected them to try a beat 'em up, and I expected it to go very poorly. When they didn't, I was worried it was going to be even worse. But then it kind of works.
So let's let's break this down a little bit of what this looks like. So you start in just a wooded area as you're going into the mines. So it's just an area to really introduce
Intro.
you to Mikey's move set, which is not, you've got a jump kick and you've got an attack with your nunchucks, but there's some trees on the stage that give you some verticality that will then lead you to realize that you can use those nunchucks to do helicopter hang time. That's what it's called.
Helicopter. That's
great.
And it's tails. It's spinning the nunchucks and having a little descent, a slower descent. It's so brilliant. And then you get into the mines and you're going and finding these other turtles. We'll talk about how all that plays out, but it would be great to go through the other turtle powers right now. I'll give you the manual names after you describe them.
Let's see if I can remember names because I don't know which one.
It's not
this
your
might be
thing.
racist, actually. This might be racist of me.
Just call them by the color of their disguises. Which, by the way, if they
See, I don't even know.
if they take those off, then you don't know who they are anymore.
Right.
Yes, you do.
I don't know their
Personality.
personalities, Kenny. Come on.
It depends on what weapon they pick up.
I don't know that either.
They could
Listen,
pick up any weapon.
Leo
No.
has a drill.
Okay, well,
Yes.
yeah. Leo has katanas, so swords.
And he's
And-
able to drill through
and he
certain walls.
corkscrews.
No, he blockbusters.
That's what the manual calls it. I was gonna say
Yes.
he dig dugs.
It's a blockbuster.
Okay.
That's the move.
That's
All
a
right,
copyright
nice.
problem.
All right, Kenny, you
Was.
give one since you know the turtles very well.
Wrath.
Yeah, that's
Simmons.
short for
Hides-
Raphael.
Hides in his shell.
Okay, yes.
And then scurries.
So morph ball.
basically Morph
Okay,
Ball, yeah.
ripping straight
That's
from
not what it's
Metroid
called. That's
IC.
not what it's called. That's not what
Okay,
it's
I
called.
was gonna say
It's called squeeze play.
Ew,
No.
that sounds sexual.
It's called squeeze play.
That's not okay.
and you know Mikey would
Yikes.
love it.
Y'all don't know these guys on a
Are-
first name basis.
You're only
it was
missing one
Raphael,
more, and
but-
it's Donatello.
Yes.
I know him. I know.
And I don't know why he's Spider-Man's, but he's
Oh
Spider-Man's.
no, I even know this. He has katanas, right?
He just has a bow staff, bro.
No.
Oh, I
got
was
a
gonna
bow
say
staff.
that makes sense
That
to
would
like
make
climb.
sense.
He has a
The
bow
sai
staff.
swords is what those are, but
I don't know.
yeah,
Yeah, you could have inverted their powers,
Yeah.
and it almost would have worked better.
But he can climb high
for,
walls.
Like, why?
he can climb high walls. It's called cliffhanger,
I like that one.
and
That's all right.
he's able to ascend high walls, and so, like a Metroidvania, you have to switch between the turtles and use their varying abilities to traverse the map. So
a
there's
great
going to be
premise.
some areas that have spikes across the floor. Well, you'll use Michelangelo to spin across so that you don't get hurt. You've got a tall wall. You've got to get up. You're going to use Donatello's cliffhanger. You've got these different shaded, colored, I guess, but shaded blocks.
Yeah, breakable blocks of different kinds.
Like Metroid, that Leonardo's going to blockbuster through, and then you've got these very small gaps to get through that Raphael is going to morph ball through. I'm going to keep saying morph ball.
Now, here's why I said this is probably racist, because you just play the same character. You choose them. Hold on.
Racist, Kenny. He's racist.
No,
He's
listen.
turtlist.
He's turtle.
You hit start and choose between the 4 dudes. Once you get all of them, you have to unlock them first, and you get a new utility skill that lets you navigate. And yes, the weapon changes visually, but the skills themselves in a Metroidvania are utility skills, and they help you do something. It would have been nice if, when you switched to the different dudes, that they had a different moveset, had something to help you in the combat side of things.
Game Boy?
Yes.
I mean,
if you're doing all this,
you got-
sure.
You
Come
got
on.
different weapons visually.
But
I know
it's
they
the same
functioned in
attacks.
pretty much the same way.
It's the same attacks.
You also, I don't know if you were looking for it, but you also had distinct personality.
Explain.
Just
I
the
don't-
attitude
I
that
don't-
they
okay.
exuded
Oh,
while you
no,
ran around
Kenny.
and played.
Not a good defense, bro.
You're not a wizard that picks up on Game Boy vibes. That's not a thing.
No, that's not the kind of wizard I am. You're right.
Okay,
You're different.
Okay, there's no vibes between these turtles, and yes, it would be nice, I guess, if their moveset was a little bit different. I think that's asking a whole lot on a Game Boy. But yes, it absolutely is to have 4 different switchable characters that not only
Bro,
have
they
different
did everything else.
moving abilities, but also different attacks.
I'm happy with the different abilities.
It would have been even cooler. I love the idea.
There were some in our community that were claiming that one of the turtles, maybe it was Donatello, had a longer range, a slightly longer range. I couldn't tell.
I did so much testing. I was in the lab.
You did so much testing?
Yes, because I failed against bosses so much, and so I did a lot of testing.
Okay.
There's no difference.
No, that's a good bridge, though. You just said failed a lot
is.
on the bosses, and I think that's a good conversation to have because the bosses in this game are rough.
Overtuned trash, I think I called them. Are they good? They're really cool in design for the most part. Love that. The snake one's really cool because it had the blow and suck mechanic. That was really neat. But dude, come on. They did not tune these correctly with the tools you're given. There's a lot wrong with the boss fights.
Okay.
And a boss rush.
Okay, I will say, yes, Nolan. We would have been in dangerous, best Game Boy game territory if they would have had different abilities that you kind of Mega Man'd this game with and had to use a certain turtle was stronger on certain bosses. That would have been absolutely nasty.
Sick.
Would have been so cool.
They didn't do that, and so you were left to figuring out the boss's moveset.
And I'm fine with that.
And because they hit hard, they take up a lot of real estate on the screen, they move quickly, but it all comes down to if you can figure out their shtick, if you can figure out their moveset, you can fight them.
They do telegraph a little so that once you learn what they're gonna do, you can adapt. Definitely punishing when things go poorly, but it's learnable fights. Hard, and I was with Nolan. I had to repeat some of these fights numerous times, but I felt like learnable. There have been some games that I'm like, bosses, I'm not going to get past it. I give up. This is completely unfair. I didn't feel like it was fully in that camp for me.
Life upgrades are honestly the best tool you have in a boss fight. It's not a weapon. It's not a power up. It's how high can you get your life up so that you can take more hits because they do a ton of damage. Yes, there's patterns, and yes, you can learn them, but it's like it comes down to pixel issues. Like they have insane reach, and you don't. your kick is really good. Outside of boss fights, the hitbox is massive. It's very generous. It's just the boss fights that I got really frustrated with.
I think you might know this, but if you don't, it's not going to encourage you anymore. That after you beat the bosses the first time, that's not the last time you're going to see them, because after you've collected all the turtles, there's a boss rush at the end, back to back to back.
I know.
I don't mind in some games having a boss rush.
Should have Mega Man it.
It felt unneeded here, and I think they could have just done without. I would have rather them slapped on one more even phase of the final boss instead of making you do the boss rush and just, I don't know why, it just felt pointless. I feel like they
rough.
did it just because it's been done before, and I was not a fan of having to boss rush here.
I don't hate that it's there. It's just soul crushing when you get there and realize I'm about to fight Shredder and it's not, and then you have to fight them. They give you your health back, which is great in between the fights, but Shredder is hard and he has 2 phases. I beat the game. It took me so long. Thankfully, there's passwords. Thankfully, there are passwords.
It would have been nice to have a save system. I don't know if you had tons of those on the Game Boy.
You need a battery. They couldn't do it.
But the passwords are at least helpful in that after each boss you get a password. If you write it down, then you can restore all of your progress up to that point, which is super nice. There's not tons to track, so that is really nice. But having to do those bosses not just the first time, which they're very tough to do, but having to do them again. I mentioned Mega Man. Did y'all notice that on the boss rush in between the bosses, you've got that Mega Man door. That crinkle door, whatever those are called, the gates.
Metal one that goes like up, and then down,
like
down,
it's
down.
straight up. Dude, if they would have Mega Manned it,
I know.
It would have helped for sure.
I mean, imagine if you got a projectile, even if it's weak, that would be so huge.
Or a specific counter to specific moves. If the lightning guy, if you could grab it in Leo's sword and then
you're asking
it out the other sword or something.
That's asking.
This is really sick stuff.
Dude,
it's a Sekiro.
That's y'all are thinking that we're playing this on the Xbox 360.
They could have done it if they wanted to.
You got ladder projectiles, but there are no ladders in boss fights.
Y'all, they did a lot for 1993.
Yes,
on
they
a
did.
Game
I don't want to
Boy.
knock them too much.
With a map that you have to navigate. Let's talk about the map. We didn't talk about it enough. It sucks. But at least it gives you something.
I'm glad it's there.
It's a very simple representation of what you're doing, but it's enough to at least not leave you completely lost, because it's easy in games like this to lose track of yourself and to remember where you've been, and especially when there's one-way doors, and especially when exploring means you have to go back to an area you've been and all of the enemies respawn, which is not uncommon for this kind of game, but did happen in this game. If you're just walking around aimlessly, this game is going to feel like a bit of a slog and kind of grindy. If you can figure out where you're going and keep track of yourself on the map and visualize it, it's not nearly as bad. So I was very glad they gave that map.
If you're going to do Metroidvania, you got to come correct with level design. And in this case, it's surprisingly varied. There are plenty of times when I was like, this looks way too familiar. I don't know where I am. I opened up the map. I still didn't know where I was. But on the console, I can give them a pass here. It's not as varied as Metroid 1 even, but it does enough for me.
I like that there was a map. It's very vague. There's little colored in squares that are little pixels that tell you something is there, but that's it. I believe that we haven't even talked about it yet, before the re-release on the Cowabunga collection, I think it came with a little bit more of an updated map that tells you a little bit of what
this
that
is a key.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Yeah.
So that is helpful. I do think having a map is nice. At least we had something. One last question that I had about gameplay, and I know we've talked about it, maybe we've overdone it, but with the different turtles, and the answer might be no here, which is telling. Was there a particular turtle that you gravitated to, that you used most, and if so,
100%.
why? Okay.
Michelangelo.
Just what? Yeah,
OG.
the starting turtle.
Yeah, his utility is most useful, and there's no reason to switch to the other ones unless you come to
An obstacle.
Obstacle.
Yeah. Same, Kenny.
Agreed. Yeah, and he's not the one I would normally pick for just gameplay reasons, for lore reasons. If I'm role playing, that's not who I'm playing as. But
Donatello?
that's who I was.
I mean,
like that's
yeah,
who I
Don.
started. And yeah, the spinning move is awesome. And like you pull out the others for specific needs.
You're Splinter, yeah? You're Splinter.
Oh, for sure.
Okay.
Okay.
Make sure.
So just to clarify, that's not one of the turtles.
No.
I
Sick.
Well, no, it's characters in the
in the universe, in the Turtleverse.
He's not a turtle either, though.
God.
Who are you pointing to?
He pointed up.
I know, we don't
pointed
know where
up.
we
I
are
forget our screens
on
are
his
different.
God.
Dustin's not a turtle either.
Who's Dustin?
He's the hockey player. What's his name?
It's not Casey.
Is the human?
No, is it Casey?
Casey Jones.
Casey Jones. That is what it is. Yeah. He
Am
was
I
awesome.
April O'Neil?
Yeah. None of us are the turtles.
Am I April O'Neil? We're not gonna argue with that.
Okay.
No, you'd be a turtle for sure, Nolan. But
Okay.
Aged.
I was initially impressed by the environments. You can see that in my first play. That I was outside, and then I was in the mines, and then I was
were
in
lit.
kind of like a metallic kind of. Do they
Futuristic-looking.
have the tech? What is the technodrome? What is they've got something in the turtle
That's something.
universe? Oh, Techmodrome.
I don't remember what it's called.
They have
either,
something
but
in-
there's a whole sciencey.
But it's
thing.
a sciencey, yeah, and you get some
Yeah.
of that here, but then that's all. So it's only those two. After you're out of the trees, you're out of the trees, and you're just in the mines, and you're just in those kind of like sciencey environments. And so it did become bland and redundant after a while, which is not the best when it comes to Metroidvanias, because by sight you want to be able to tell where you
Absolutely.
are, and like that's something really good that Metroid games end up doing, because the environments, you know where you are just based on the environment.
backdrop.
Now, you can't do color here, so that's completely taken away from you, and you can only do design, but I think they could have done another design or two, so you would have known general areas maybe that you were without having to pull up your mini or your map.
I agree, but here's why I think it's okay. The game is short. It's relatively short,
is.
and so like I don't.
Yeah.
They probably ran out of time. I mean, space. It's already impressive. I think they did enough, but it does look really samey across the board.
I agree. It's Game Boy. You're gonna have a hard time. I mean, there are things you could do to make things look different,
Textures.
but you've got one set of colors, and I could always tell what they were going for, and felt like the areas were different. I don't think it's like the best Game Boy visual art, but I also wouldn't
but
knock
it's
it. I
up
think
there.
they did a fairly good job.
I do want to be clear. Y'all are saying that the limited environments are fine because it's Game Boy. They couldn't do anymore, but you want them to have a sword getting lightning struck down from the
Yes.
sky that you can then attack your enemies with?
Yeah.
And then
Okay,
I also want
sure.
them.
Makes a lot of sense.
I also want them
It
to like
does.
let me teleport to different places. Like
Oh, yeah?
like Metroidvanias end up
Quick
doing.
saves.
Yeah,
Yeah, all of
I'd love
those
that.
things.
I'm not telling you
VR?
the lightning needs to be yellow.
Yeah, sure. AR, augmented reality, would be welcome here.
Should have had it all.
I don't know why they didn't. I'm knocking them for it, but
I think that even the background, or including the backgrounds, I think what you're looking at is good, especially for a Game Boy. The turtles look really good. They're shaded.
on the start screen,
They're
yeah.
shaded. Everything's really good.
The pixel
boss sprites, Nolan, you mentioned it earlier. So these bosses are not your typical Turtles bosses, by the way, which I thought was an interesting direction to go. They're the famous ones for the most part, because but it's TMNT 3, so maybe they use the famous ones for 1 and 2, and in 3 you kind of get some of the leftovers.
They did, and I think there's even like a lore reason, either in the manual or something, where like in the second one they're still in prison, like the bosses, the like known ones from the last game. So they were just like, let's. Make
I
new
also
ones.
think and would imagine they wanted to sell more TMNT toys and merchandise, and so trying to popularize other characters and bosses are not a bad
Sure.
idea.
No.
I do think so. I mean, they are in universe bosses, at least
Yeah.
a few of them.
All of
I
them.
don't know if all of them
I
are.
think
Some
all
of
of
them
them.
maybe made up just for this, but like I definitely recognized the dirtbag, the guy with the pick.
The
Like
scythe,
he's around. And Shredder is still Shredder,
course.
even though here he's Cyber Shredder.
There's different
so-
versions.
Yeah, I was glad they mixed it up.
I thought it looked good through and through. The turtles looked good. All of the pixel work. It's just
Agreed.
It's a really good looking game. A variety of enemies also. Like,
Yes,
not
that's
a
what I was surprised
wide
about.
variety, but plenty of enemies for the 2-3 hour experience.
I thought it was gonna be
There
one
was-
enemy type the whole time.
Sure.
Yeah, there was one point in the game where I was like, "Oh, this is starting to get a little bit repeta," and then immediately, like, I got 2 new enemy types.
He's right
so
behind
it
me.
came at the right point to add some variety. We talk about whether an old game is worth playing today. We don't always talk about whether a game that we've played is worth playing more than once, and I think that's an interesting conversation for just like how well it ages. Like, if you have it, are you gonna want
Sure.
to enjoy it?
I like that.
You know, like, or is it a rental? And this one to me had some really good things, but kind of suffers on that point. This is a rental game to me. I thought it was a good game, but I don't see myself ever wanting to go back and play it again.
For a Game
Now that
Boy
I've played
game,
it.
I'm gonna disagree with you. I think it's a lot deeper than what you're getting on the console for the like, by and large. So like you got Metroid 2 and this, you got a lot of game time, and yeah, I would revisit it. Especially, I love revisiting Metroidvanias. I actually love replaying. Like, I replay Symphony of the Night every other year, and I get so much enjoyment out of it, even though I know everything. So it's like I love forgetting stuff and then going back. I could see myself playing.
See, they could have put more exploration or more things to be discovered or something that maybe you didn't get on the first pass, and I would buy it. But
Secrets,
as
yeah.
it is, I just don't see a reason to go back to it again.
And I disagree. I think Metroidvania is particularly for the way that my brain works, which it doesn't. I forget everything, and so
Sure,
I can go back to a game fresh. I can come back in a year, and this game will be completely new to
Yeah.
me. So that
You'll
will
have forgotten. that
You're like,
you
I've never
it
played
at
this
all.
in my life.
that,
I don't know what
that
this is.
really works well in my favor. So I do think that's a good question.
Yeah.
Let's see if you can remember to bring it up in the age section for all future episodes, Kenny. That would
I
be
like that
impressive.
question too.
Let's talk about music, because that's another thing that absolutely impressed me, because sometimes we played these video games that don't get the themes from the IP. This one does. It gets so much traditional turtle theme and a variety of music. I didn't look, but there's a good amount of songs on here.
That's the other reason why I didn't want to knock it when you were talking about the areas not being like varied or different enough, is because they have themes, and so
Different
that helps
music.
you know.
True.
Yeah, that's a factor that plays there, and I think they were great, dude. The Game Boy audio is not to be discussed. It's nothing to write home about.
No.
But like, still here, you're bobbing your head. Like, the tracks are really good.
I agree it's good music for the console. I think the for the console bugs me a little bit more than it does you guys. Just the
piercing?
I don't know, the sound font
Sure.
here. Just I was kind of like,
Especially with
like
headphones
that's
on.
enough. Yeah, and so it's a reality. But again, given what they were working with, you get the actual tune, you get variety of music that matches your environments, and so like they did a good job.
And you get a very passable cowabunga. It's like very muffled, but
And
it feels good to hear it.
It's hard to do real voice word type situations on
only
the Game
imagine.
Boy. But yeah, admirable for sure.
Thankfully, it's being preserved in the Cowabunga collection, which is
Yeah.
a recent thing that has come out that I need to still cop, because it's got so many Turtles games on it,
Okay.
and they're probably all fantastic.
Nolan, it's
Yeah.
on the Steam summer sale at the
Is it?
time of this recording.
way.
Steam summer sale is happening right now, and it's
I thought
on
it was Switch.
sale for 40% off. So it's still it's $24 right now.
Worth.
But a whole bunch of games.
But you get 13. You get 13 prior
classic
released classic games,
Turtles games,
including
I'm
this
getting
one.
it.
And
I'm
that
getting
came out
it.
just last year. So like
Yeah, it's new.
this is a good collection of games, and in my opinion, if you're going to play this game, and we'll get to whether or not you should, it's the preferable way to play, because I believe with the Cowabunga collection you have save states and rewinds,
Oh, I would imagine. Yeah, all
which
those like
make
reissues
these
are adding
boss
that.
battles a lot more
yeah,
palatable.
it helps. It helps.
But I don't use them. It makes me feel dirty.
If the game gives you
That's
a
fair.
feature, you can use the feature.
But I didn't play
You
the
can, but
Cowabunga collection this week. I had to suffer.
You can also choose not to, though. Like,
Sure.
Nolan's allowed to be a
Sure.
purist
A
and
god
say,
gamer,
I
I
want to
prefer.
earn it, and I'm gonna,
Purist.
I'm gonna beat these bosses.
But
Yeah.
if the game gives you the opportunity to duplicate diamonds very
Shut
easily,
up.
you
no,
can
no,
use
no, no,
it.
no.
That's
It
why you don't
gives
like
an
tiers.
You can
intentional
use it.
feature.
No.
Those are not the same conversation.
Dustin, bring us to price.
There are a lot. Well, okay, I'll go ahead and tell you that. $76 used loose.
Expensive.
If you want that little thing, just that little
Loose.
cartridge, it's $76. If you want it new, it's going to
Wow.
vary. But the one that is selling right now is for $1,875.
Yeah, it's in the top
Whoa.
18, top 20 most expensive on the Game Boy, and it's like the other ones in there are so rare and obscure, like you won't know them. And then it's just like the third Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game is $1,500 on eBay.
It's amazing.
That's crazy.
Final thoughts.
At the end of each and every one of our episodes, we determine whether or not the game gets our vote for New Game Plus status, which is our general thumbs up or thumbs down. It does require 2/3 of the vote to swing one way or the other. TMNT 3 Radical Rescue is such a solid concept of a game for bringing Turtles to the Game Boy. We talked about it. I don't know how I would have done it. You can't play as four. It's not a multiplayer experience. TMNT is a perfect IP for the arcade. Perfect IP for like even a home console beat 'em up. Game Boy? No. What do? This is what you do. This game is not perfect. It's flawed in some ways. It ages in some ways. But I think one of the other shining things about it is that it doesn't overstay its welcome. On your first time through, even with having to reface bosses a couple of times, you're probably going to spend no more than 3 hours on this game. So I think it's a perfect compartmentalized kind of experience. And arguably the best Metroidvania on the console. Who would have thought that you would be saying that about a Ninja Turtles game? Not I. And so I certainly give this game my vote for New Game Plus status. Kenny?
Yeah, I can't put up a good argument there. This one's a solid little game. It's definitely not perfect, but brings some fun, solves the problem of how to do a game on this handheld, overcomes some things that easily could have been pitfalls, and is just it's just a nice little game all around. So I don't think it's like super replayable. I do think there's some problems with it, but they pulled off Turtles on Game Boy, and I want to carry Turtles in my pocket, both like as a game and just actual Turtles.
Just
So,
$2,000.
yes, New Game Plus.
$2,000. Easy to do. So that's two. Nolan?
A little disrespect on Metroid 2 there, Dustin. I think it probably edges out this game if you were going to compare them on the console. But I got to say, TMNT games haven't really let me down yet. I've experienced the majority of them on the podcast. I wasn't a huge Turtles game guy like Kenny was. And I've always thought, I think it's what you were saying, Dustin, they've run into the multiplayer problem where you've got the four main characters and you want to bring them into the gaming space. And how do you utilize all four with one player? Okay, let's make it 2-player, but then what about the other? They run into that, and they pull it off well on arcade and stuff. I was a little worried going into this that it would have the Game Boy funk on it. I love the Game Boy, love a lot of Game Boy games, but the screen is freaking small, and it struggles sometimes. And it's tough to revisit. But hear me out. This game goes so far beyond what its peers were doing at the time on that console. It's not even funny. The bosses are trash. I dislike them a lot. And it's still not enough for me to like turn someone away from this game. I was pleasantly surprised constantly as I played. And I can actually see why it's got the hefty price tag. It's a rare case where it wasn't like a printing issue. Maybe it was, I don't know. But I think it's because it's legitimately a fantastic game, and if you're a collector, you want it. NGP all day.
That means that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3 Radical Rescue across the board is New Game Plus certified. But what did you think? On YouTube, 32% said yes, it's worth playing today. 7% said no, go play something else. And 61% have never played it before.
Sounds exactly right.
Exactly right.
Yep.
Not a surprise. Many of you wrote in. Here are a few of your thoughts. Sasser said, I've owned TMNT 3 for over 25 years and only beaten it a couple of times. So it was a treat to come back to a Turtlevania classic this week. The novel for the time map relieved navigational frustrations seen in early open world games without giving too much away for exploration. The game is difficult at times, but forgiving with the password and continue system. The sprite work has some of the better visuals to come out of the Game Boy. And even though the soundtrack is limited, there are no missiles here. Misses.
There's no missiles either.
I had Metroidvania in my head. My only wish is that there was more games to rival its Zelda and Metroid peers of the time. NGP and Cowabunga, dudes.
Cowabunga to you.
Cowabunga to you, good sir. Good man.
Cowabunga to you,
Milady.
man.
Cowabunga, milady.
Cowabunga, milady. I love that this person, Sasser, is returning to it after 25 years.
Eat that, Kenny.
Yeah, that's fun.
Or, returning to it multiple times, Kenny. Shane said, another game I love that I never would have tried if it weren't for NGP. This falls under hidden gems for me, along with Samurai Kid. I'm not sure if it's just Metroidvania withdrawal, since I haven't played one in a little while, but this really hit the spot. Metroidvania is easily my favorite genre, and I have a fondness for short Metroidvanias as well. This game is nice and compact and doesn't overstay its welcome. The bosses are also exquisitely designed, with perfect signposting of their moves, to the point that it feels like solving a puzzle more than doing a fight many times. I'd say the only real complaint I have is more variance with the turtles would have been nice. It's pretty much just their one move, which I feel led me to only using Mikey for the usefulness of hover and switching it if I needed any of the others. Overall, this game is a lovely addition to our pool party. It breaks into my top 5 of the year I made for the stream, and I hope the summer keeps going strong. NGP for sure.
I love that, and I would my top 5 would be shuffled. I'll just say that.
It will be interesting to see where this lands at the end of the year. For
they mentioned Samurai Kid, and we did too. I feel like this like Samurai Kid's like way up here. They were so close to replicating the charm and like the execution that Samurai Kid had with combat. Anyways,
hey, and Nolan, you called me out for saying might be the best Metroidvania on the console because Metroid 2. But even if it's top 2, like, and hold on, Metroidvanias, there's probably a very small number on the Game Boy. So let's just say that.
I think we've named them all.
But even if there's a fight for it, it says a lot. Hot Tamale said, nothing makes me want to drown in a pool of ooze like a week of torture with my favorite childhood heroes.
Kenny, you get that reference? I don't.
Even with Nolan would love the movies. Those movies from the 90s, Kenny?
Absolute. Well, I think so.
There's a new one coming out, Mutant Mayhem.
No, stop. That's not.
No, it looks cool.
No, but there's something about those 90s
I believe
movies that were so good.
The new one's live action, Nolan?
No, it's like it's animated.
This was live action. The Turtles suits were amazing. The monster suits were amazing. Yeah. It was so good. Vanilla Ice is in it. It's very good.
I'm watching it. I'm watching.
I got to meet one of the turtles in elementary school.
Why didn't you start the episode with that?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
The actors were famous back in the day, and they did the tour and like make good choices, kids, and like live a good life.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah.
Is that why you became the man that you are today?
Is because of one of the random Ninja Turtle actors.
It's like, hey kid,
let's name because he was just a guy in a suit.
That's amazing.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, let me finish this commentary. Let's see. Even with save states, it took me way too long to beat the first boss, and by that I mean save states right before the boss and repeatedly try for 30 minutes. I felt renewed interest with my victory, though. Then the second boss brought down the hammer. After I saw on the Discord that there is a boss rush to finish the game, I gave up. No thanks. Guess I just need to get good. The graphics and music are like the Pizza Hut of my childhood, but the bosses are a cold bread tangle of school lunch. Kiss my shell, TMT3RR. Thanks for ruining my childhood and desire to play video games this week.
Yikes. Wait, did you say who wrote
Hot
that?
Tamales.
Hot Tamales. Yikes. I mean, yeah, you got to get good, and it doesn't feel great, the boss rush, but wow.
It's just interesting because Shane, right before Hot Tamales, said that the bosses were perfectly designed.
They're
and
not.
Hot Tamales said...
Bosses are always going to be very controversial.
Overtuned.
The nature of like what bosses are, they're just going to be,
Thank you for submitting your commentary on the Retro Game of the Week, which you can do each and every week. You can do that at ngppodcast@gmail.com or hop into our Discord. We've got a commentary channel there. Share with us your thoughts. We'll try to include them on our next episode. But for now, we're setting aside Radical Rescue, and we are not randomly selecting from our massive Retro Master List because it is, once again, boys, time for
Patreon pool.
Patreon poll!
Wow, you really
Sorry
stole
if I
that.
stole your thunder.
Who do
I
you
know.
think you are?
I'm hyped.
He thinks he's
You
Splinter.
can't. I want to just be a part of things.
just-
I got FOMO.
Listen,
I'm
we've
hyped.
got stats by Shane.
Always.
Stats by
Thank you,
Shane.
TM,
Shane.
TM, stats by Shane.
Shane
We've
TM.
got and a few more have come in since this was list was released. But 33 PS2 entries, that's sitting up top, followed by GameCube, and then NES
Yes.
right under that. But right under that is PC.
Ooh. Okay, so good NES and PC representation as a whole.
See, I'm more
hyped
interested in
for
the
that.
upper half of
And
that.
the upper and
PS2,
the
GameCube.
PS2 and the GameCube.
Oh yeah.
No, it's PC time.
I'm
it's
down
time
f-
for a good PC
It's
title.
not because we
It's
don't
not.
have the
It's-
capabilities to play
Remember,
those
Kenny,
games.
this year's supposed to be
I'm-
good.
I'm just calling it. We're getting a PC game.
We've
this
got
time.
many games on this list, like GTA 4 from the Docta 45.
GTA 4?
Yeah.
Eh.
Wait,
No.
You don't think
How?
it's time that we can do that yet?
Are you kidding? I don't think it's time.
Look it up.
I'm gonna say they're wrong.
You know, GTA 5 itself has been out
For
for like
15
35
years.
years.
GTA
now.
4 came out in 2008.
Yeah, so we're good.
No, hold on, math. Let me do math really
That's
quick.
15 years.
Dark Souls. Okay.
You're looking up
Yeah,
Dark
that
Souls?
feels bad.
It
feels bad.
It's coming up.
Tenchu
years.
Stealth Assassin by Siegfried. We've got
I wanna play that.
We've got a game in here submitted by Clint, Not Enough Dog, and Tim of the T. Retro Game Challenge. I think it was inspired by our retro game challenges that we've
Yeah.
been releasing on YouTube. They said there's a game actually called Retro Game Challenge
No
where
way.
you play old styled games and you have to like do
love that.
challenges in them. Doesn't that sound cool?
That
Oh,
sounds,
that's
and
so
it's on
fun.
DS, right? DS games are cool.
Maybe I don't really know.
I think it's on DS.
And then Ratchet and Clank Up Your Arsenal from a few, but the one that's sitting up top again, we've got
Please say
Fighters
Majora's
up
Mask.
there. No,
Yeah,
it's
they
not
really
Majora's
want
Mask.
us to play Fighters. I'm
Yeah.
fine with this. I want to.
They want us to play Soul Calibur 2. I think that's the most submitted.
I would be so happy if it was that or Third Strike.
Later in the summer, we can get Soul Calibur.
We don't have too
playing
much
PC.
longer. All right. This is for our fourth Patreon pool of the Summer Pool Party. Randomizing now. It is one of the games that I mentioned in the teaser.
Oh my gosh.
I don't think that's happened before. I usually name a few, and there's so many that...
You named some good ones.
This is a game developed by Indie Zero.
Oh
In
my gosh,
Japan,
is it that one?
It was produced by, or published by Namco Bandai, North America by Xseed Games. It came out in the year 2007 for the Nintendo DS.
Oh my gosh, we're playing that game.
Submitted by Clint, Not Enough Dog, and Tim of the T. We are playing Retro Game Challenge for the Nintendo DS.
Sick.
Yeah.
That's
I'm
so
fine.
fun.
That sounds great.
Also, when you've got a game about retro games that's old enough that we consider the game retro, we're like 2 layers of
Yeah,
retro
that's
at
too
least,
deep.
if
The
not
game-
3 or 4. We're like
Retroception. Yeah.
we're old, y'all.
The
not good.
game is
about
retro,
retro
and
games.
it's about retroer games.
We're screwed.
Yeah.
We'll all die one day.
Okay, I hope
should
this is
just give
good.
up.
I love the idea. It's gonna be like my imagination is like it is like one of the stages is like Frogger, but the challenge is you have to get across in 30 seconds or something like that. There's challenges.
I'm interested in how they avoided copyright
copying?
claims
Copyright
on all of
issues?
these
Sure.
games. And remember, guys, DS is sick, and y'all don't have a ton of experience with it,
No.
but we got touch. It'll be touch puzzles and stuff. It's going to be cool.
Okay, I'm scared.
Interesting.
Find a copy of Retro Game Challenge, and probably like the most like I don't know close to what we do on the
Right.
show game that we've ever played, and played along with us this week.
We have a Discord server, and that's where we stay. That's where we want you to stay too. We need to get to 1,500 members. That's our hard goal that we have set for ourselves. And all you have to do is go to discord.gg/newgameplus. It'll automatically send you there and you can just leave. But we want you to stay.
Please stay.
You can also head to patreon.com/NGP podcast and support what we do on an ongoing basis because you're entertained and it's worth it. You'll be joining people like our newest patrons, Sergio and Justin.
Hey,
Sergio.
Welcome. We also got some new producers this week.
Whoa.
Leonardo, Raphael, Michelangelo. I'm kidding.
you are?
Siegfried is a new producer, and Jake has upped his contribution
Hey.
Thanks,
to
guys.
producer status.
Welcome.
Thanks, guys. Hope you enjoy. And we got a large list of already established producers that we want to thank,
One breath,
including
one
Adam,
breath.
Alex, and Marley, and Antonin, Ben, Big Dude, Brunt, JH Bowser, Alice, Fishy, Francesca, Gimbin, J. Rubber, Jared, Joey, Jordan, Justin, Clint, Nick, Nat, Corey, Levi, Maxima, Pedro, Sage, and Shauna, Subsonic Demon, Tesselhoff, Thomas, Unbelievable, and Zion. I forgot to breathe, and
Close.
I almost got there anyways. Of course, thank you to Bro Jim, Daniel, Gartlisle, and Super Hypered, our director level supporters. You are the Ninja Turtles of our hearts.
Speaking of Patreon, our Retro Haul competition has come to an end. Over 100 of you voted on which of the three of us had the best haul from our recent couch co-op event. Nolan and I won.
Yeah,
Fair and
together.
square.
We're sharing the trophy.
We are sharing.
If you guys grouped up together, you would have beaten me, yes.
There
I
is
don't know.
actually I don't know. There
I
is
don't know
a
if they
post
would.
on Patreon declaring not only the haul winner, but also the winner of the haul, the winner of the haul and the winner of the haul, two different things.
Of the giveaway.
Both
Right.
all winners have been announced on patreon.com/NGP podcast.
If you voted and are interested in finding out who won the haul, Kenny did, and who won the haul, someone from our community
Go
did,
find out.
then go to patreon.com/NGP podcast to find out more. You can find us on all of our social media. That's Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, TikTok, and YouTube. All of those links are in the show notes. Listen directly on any podcast provider of your choice. Make sure you subscribe so that you're the first to get new NGP episodes. And while you're at it, please leave a kind rating and review. Our video episode was edited by our friend Dylan. Our audio episode was edited and produced by our friend Dan Willett. Join us next week as we play... What is it? Retro
Game Challenge.
Retro Game Challenge. That threw me. Until then, I'm still Leonardo, clearly.
I'm the gnat that was just flying around Nolan's face.
I'm Subscribe.
And this has been New Game Plus.